Maya got a letter 4 months after the drought. She didn't think she would get a letter. No one in her life wrote her letters. But it came on a normal October morning in a plain white envelope with no return address. The handwriting on the front was hers. Not a copy of hers. Not the same. Her handwriting was exactly the same, even the little thing where her capital M opened a little wider on the left side than the right. She took it inside, sat down at the kitchen table and stared at it for a long time before opening it. Cairo came in from the garden, where he had been gardening in a way that Ruth called a man making up for lost time with soil. He saw her face and said, "What is that?" She gave it to him. He stared at the envelope. He looked at the way the words were written. She had learned to read his face over 4 months of seeing him every day. The way his eyes tightened slightly told her he was scared but didn't want to scare her. "Open it," he said. Yes, she did. There was only one index card inside. There were 2 lines on it, written in the same impossible way. "We know what you did. We know what you're making. You aren't the only one." A set of coordinates is below that. In 30 seconds, Cairo had the topographic maps out. The coordinates led to a place in the Scottish Highlands. Circle in red on his map. Maya said, "Someone at the spring in Scotland, one of the 47 main spring sites. Someone who knows how the network works. Someone who knows about it and is using your handwriting to get in touch with you," Cairo said slowly. "Which means they either have very detailed information about you or one of the Guardians sent it," Maya said. He turned to her. She said, "The Guardian at our spring. It has my life force tied to it now. Could it talk to the other Guardians? Could it tell the water table things about me?" Cairo didn't move. "Yes," he said slowly. "Yes, it could." He looked at the index card and said, "If the Guardians across the water table have known about the threat, what happened here and what we are building, they would talk to each other using the closest template. Something the person can recognize." Maya said, "My handwriting. My life force is the thread that connects me to the network." He said, "You are already a part of it. Not in a metaphorical way. In a literal sense. Your agreement linked you to the whole water table." He sat down and looked at the coordinates. "Maya, we're not going to build the network." Before he was done talking, she got it. "It's already built," she said. "It was always built. We just have to find the other people." "Yes," he said. She checked the coordinates. October in Scotland. She was in the 8th grade and 14 years old. She had never left Colorado. She turned to Cairo. He looked back at her with his normal brown eyes, which sometimes, when the light hit them just right, had a deep gold warmth that wasn't quite human. "Road trip?" she asked. He was close to smiling. "Something like that." In October they didn't go to Scotland. Ruth gave them her blessing to go in December during winter break. They took 2 backpacks and a cover story about a student cultural exchange program that Ruth had come up with on her own with an efficiency that strongly suggested she had been waiting for this exact situation her whole life. "I raised this child," Ruth said when Maya asked how quickly she had made up the lie. "I know exactly how much trouble she can get into. I like to have a plan in place." Maya's first flight was this one. She spent most of the time looking out the window at the Atlantic and thinking about how the spring in Millbrook was now connected to 3,000 miles of water below it. She was linked to it, somewhere in the deep currents below the clouds. The tether she had given part of herself to keep up was humming. She could feel it, but only a little, like a second heartbeat. It's like a song that is very quiet. Cairo sat next to her reading a geology book with the kind of focus that comes from being able to read about the Earth's water systems and feel like every paragraph was about him. They rented a car at the Edinburgh airport and drove north and west for 4 hours into the Highlands. Cairo drove because he was a careful and precise driver who never went over the speed limit. The scenery was amazing. Gray and green and old, with hills that were like Cairo himself. Old in a way that wasn't tired but permanent. The way the ocean is always there. Present before the arguments started and probably still there after they ended. The coordinates took them to a small village with maybe 300 people in it. Houses made of stone. Just one pub. A church that has a graveyard that is very old. A stream that runs next to the main road. Finn, a 12-year-old boy, was sitting on a stone wall at the edge of the village eating an apple and watching them pull up in their rental car. He looked calm and not surprised, as if he had been waiting for them for a long time. He fell off the wall. He said, "You're Maya." Not a question. "Yes," she said. He nodded. "I sent the letter." He said it like it was a fact. "The spring taught me how. In a dream." He looked at her with sharp, pale blue eyes. "You look younger than I thought you would." She said. He almost smiled. "The spring is up the hill. I'll take you." The spring in the Scottish Highlands was different from the one in Colorado. It was smaller, darker, and looked older. It was surrounded by stones that people had put there so long ago that they looked like they belonged there. The water looked black in the thin winter light, which was coming from the low clouds above. The Guardian was also different here. Fewer stones. More presence. A feeling of being watched that was so strong it felt like a second gravity. But it knew Maya right away. She felt it, the pulse in the water table that was her own tether. It recognized itself in this new place, like how you hear your name said softly across a crowded room and know it before you even think about it. Finn was standing next to her at the spring's edge. He said, "It started talking to me about 6 months ago. Before the drought here." Maya looked at him. "Did you have a drought too?" "Yes, for 6 days. Not like yours. But it was enough for me to notice." He stared at the water. The spring said it was a test. A wraith that is smaller. It was driven away before it could settle down. He stopped. Because of the spring's tether. Your life force in the network made the anchor unstable before it could hold. Maya looked at him. "I stopped the drought in Scotland without knowing it," she said. "Yes," Finn said. She looked at Cairo. He was looking at her in a way that was hard to put into words. It had to do with pride. It was awe-inspiring. And something older than both of those, something that looked like recognition, like a person who has been walking a long way alone finally seeing the shape of the destination. 47 sites, she said. "Yes," he said. "Are all of them already like this? Already linked? Do you already have someone nearby?" He said that the spring would say, "The water knows its own." Maya looked at the black water, the pale Scottish sky, and the 12-year-old boy with the sharp blue eyes who was standing on the old stone. She said, "We need a bigger map." The next year was the most amazing of Maya's life, even though she had already seen a dragon die in her riverbed and made a deal with an elemental guardian. She and Cairo made the map. Not everything. Not by yourself. During school breaks, winter, spring, and summer, they traveled, and Ruth handled all the details from Millbrook with such skill that Maya thought her grandmother might have run a small intelligence operation at some point in her life. They discovered Finn in Scotland. They found Amara, a 16-year-old girl from the Ethiopian highlands. She had been going to her family's ancestral spring every day to pray since she was old enough to stand. They met Thomas, a 60-year-old Maori elder in New Zealand who laughed with real joy when Cairo told him about the network. He said, "We've been waiting for someone to explain it that way for 8 generations." They found Priya in Tibet, Alejandro in Patagonia, and a 12-year-old boy in Iceland whose name roughly meant stone, and who had never been surprised by anything in his life. They all already had a connection with their spring. The Guardians had already chosen each of them, not loudly or dramatically, but steadily, over years of being close and caring for them, and giving them the kind of quiet attention that water needs. Maya was not hiring them. She was looking for them. There was a huge difference. Cairo went with her and taught, planned, and worked with a focus and energy that never wavered. But sometimes, on quiet nights in rented rooms and borrowed guest beds around the world, Maya saw him looking at his normal human hands with a look of grief that she had learned to recognize. Not always sad, not disabling, but true. He had lost something that mattered. He had given it away freely and didn't regret it, but he had lost it. If he had said otherwise, it would have been a lie, and Cairo had never learned to lie well in 3,000 years. "Tell me something you miss," Maya said one night in Patagonia when the wind was huge and the stars were amazing. He thought about it for a while and then said, "Rain. From above. Not falling through, being above it. From above the clouds you can see the rain. The way it looks like it's frozen. Like the world is breathing." He stopped. "I made it rain 1,000 times. I stood on top of clouds I had made and watched them let go. I could feel the planet below me responding. That is," he stopped. "That's what I missed the most." For a moment Maya was quiet. She said, "When the network is done, do you think it would know when all 47 springs are connected, the guardians are in sync, and the system is strong enough to hold? The network? Do you think that the combined life force of 47 people linked to 47 springs would have enough energy to—" She stopped talking because she wasn't sure what she was saying. But Cairo had become very still next to her. "To what?" he asked quietly. "To give back what was taken," she said. "Not your whole core. I don't mean that. But something. Enough to make you feel it again. So you can stand on top of a cloud you helped make." He didn't say anything for a long time while he looked at the stars. "That's not why we're building it," he said finally. "I know," she said. "Is it possible?" "I'm asking." Another long pause. "I don't know," he said. And she could tell from the way he spoke that he really didn't, and the fact that it might be a real question instead of an impossible one meant a lot to him. She didn't say anything else about it. She didn't have to. 1.5 years after the drought, Maya stood in the Millbrook River. It was now full, cold, and clear, flowing over stones that had been dry and exposed for a summer. For the first time, she felt the pulse of the network as a whole system instead of a bunch of parts. There were connections between 43 of the 47 springs. The other 4 were very close. The protective barrier that Cairo's core had made would last for 3 more months, but the network's total energy was already more than it could handle. The immune system of the planet was working. It was tough. She could feel all of it at once, but only faintly, like voices heard through water. Each one was different and belonged to a different person at a different spring. Finn lives in Scotland. Amara lives in Ethiopia. Thomas lives in New Zealand. Priya is in Tibet. Alejandro in Patagonia. The boy in Iceland whose name meant stone. And at the center of it all, the Millbrook Spring was the original thread, the thing that started it all. Humming. Patient. Cairo stood on the riverbank and watched her. She got out of the water and sat down next to him on the grass. "They're going to come back," she said. "Whatever sends the scouts will eventually send something bigger." "Yes," he said. "And when they do, we'll be ready." He said yes again. She stared at the river. The light was long and golden in the late afternoon. The water caught it and threw it back in pieces that moved all the time, making patterns that never quite repeated. "I don't feel bad about it," she said. "In case you were going to ask. The years that went by. I don't regret it," he said. "I know. That is what makes it so special." Maya said, "My mother was right. The bravest thing a person can do is be kind." "Yes," Cairo said. "But I think I understand it better now than she did," Maya said. "She meant a little act of kindness." Every day. She didn't mean. She waved her hand in the general direction of the river, the sky, and the 43 springs that were connected and humming quietly below the surface of the world. This. No, Cairo said. I don't think she meant this. Maya said, but it's the same thing. That's the part that bothers me. The idea is the same. You see something that needs water. You give it water. You don't think about whether it deserves it. You don't know how much you'll get back. You just give it. She stopped. The size is different, but the act is still the same. For a while, Cairo was quiet. The river was full, cold, and real as it flowed by. The Wraith Collective has eaten 412 planets, he said. In the history of the galaxy. No one has ever been able to stop it. In all that time, no species has ever built a system that could protect itself. He stared at her. Do you want to know what made each of the 412 planets different? What? None of them had people, he said simply. None of them had a species that could do what you did. Of picking weakness. Of giving something that can't be replaced to something that is unknown, with no promise of getting it back. He stopped. Every other species in this galaxy figures out how to stay alive. They are careful about being nice because it costs something and there isn't enough of it. He stared at the river. Humans are the only animals I've ever seen that sometimes choose to pay the price anyway. No math. Just because. Maya thought about it for a while. Is that a design flaw? She asked. No, he said. I think it might be the most advanced survival trait in the whole galaxy. I just think it took the right threat to show it. The sky above them was clear, blue, and full of water. Clouds were slowly building in the west, promising a light rain in the evening. The river flowed. The network buzzed. The world took a breath. Maya looked up at the sky. She was 15 now, but not for long. Somewhere in the universe's hidden books, she had traded 10 years of her future for the water of the present. She had done it with both eyes open and meant it, and she would do it again. The rain fell slowly and softly as the sun began to set. And somewhere in the clouds, for just a moment, she chose to believe it was possible. A gold light moved slowly like something big, old, and free does when it is exactly where it is supposed to be. She grinned. Cairo, who was sitting next to her, looked up at the same cloud. He didn't say anything. He also smiled. She gave 10 years of her life to save a planet's water. He gave his celestial power to save her world. And together they built the one thing the universe had never seen before. A network of ordinary people, connected through ancient springs, standing guard over the most precious thing in existence. Not gold. Not power. Water. Life. And the simple, devastating bravery of choosing to care.